Why have I quit my job? Why have I, bought a van? And why am I going to drive around the country? Well, I'm passionate about the idea that you need to be heard. And I want to stitch these stories together across the states. We're going to find the commonalities. And it's going to be really an amazing experience. And I look forward to you joining me on the job.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Mental Health Today. Thanks for that, Ari. The mute note, that would have been great. I would have gone for 10 minutes. Welcome back to another episode of Mental Health Today. Thanks everybody for listening, dialing in. Another really good, interesting episode. One kind of close to my heart. Never been evaluated or tested or certified, but I'm pretty sure I've got some iteration of ADHD. And it's definitely an interesting mind game that the mind plays with you, and how to manage that through your life. And, even as you get older, it's either your secret sauce or it's that weapon against you every day. And it's a little bit of both for me, I think.
I was going to say probably a bit of both.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a secret sauce and a little bit of a weapon against me that it's my little monster I have to battle every day on my shoulder. Ori, welcome to Mental Health Today. Thanks for taking time out of your day to be a guest, and I look forward to the chat and getting to know more about Agave.
Yeah, same. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited about this conversation. So thank you.
What do you do at Agave? Tell us a little bit about Agave. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then maybe we'll kind of drag you back through how you got there.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of Agave Health, and we're a platform that basically helps adults with ADHD get access to behavioral care. So we give access to therapy and CBT and coaching, everything that is not medication. We're making it accessible through our app and platform. And we've been doing this for the past year and a half, me and my co-founder. It's been a hell of a ride so far, and excited with what we're doing.
Yeah, this is, I like how you finish that one sentence, without medication. And that seems to be like so easy.
Our approach was, obviously there's a great place for medication when you think about the comprehensive treatment for ADHD, but we saw the biggest gap with actually access to the behavioral therapy.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that people have the ability to have other tools in their toolbox when they are managing the symptoms and the condition. And we saw the biggest gap with access to behavioral care. So this is where we kind of decided to start with.
Interesting. With the biggest gap to fill, it was the access.
Yeah, because if you think about it today, whether it's you want to get a diagnosis, you want to find an ADHD coach, you want to find a therapist that understands ADHD, that can take months, and obviously it's very expensive as well. And on the other hand, the need and the importance of this type of care is so big, and it impacts millions and millions of people. And so we saw this kind of gap, and I can share personal story of how we identify this gap. But yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, how did you? What's the inspiration for Agave?
So a bit of background about myself, and then you understand the context. But I've been in tech for about 10 years. Started my first company also in digital health, but in the posture and back pain space actually. And was fortunate to build that company to a pretty nice scale. And one of my employees, she was my head of growth, Eve, which is now my co-founder. We met back then. That was in 2019. We worked together for a couple of years. Stayed or became really close friends. And after we sold the company about 2 years ago, she left, but we remained in touch, and she called me with her personal story dealing with her husband who has ADHD. he was diagnosed as an adult, like most adults got prescription for Ritalin, and basically he was sent on his way.
I mean, this is like the classic, right? Like, I could do that job. Take a test, give a prescription.
And unfortunately, they saw the impacts of this kind of limited approach, where he started to develop, like, the medication wasn't enough, and he started to develop the side effects of taking the medication for so long. Extreme weight loss, but more importantly, also started to develop the symptoms of depression, and that almost broke their relationship. And only when he finally met a psychiatrist that told him, "You're not depressed, you're just not managing your ADHD in the right way, and you need to find a coach, and you need to get access to this whole behavioral care piece." This is where everything flipped for them. And today they're married, they have a kid. Like, it's just an amazing story. But this is where Eve understood that there's millions of people who are dealing with the same issue and same kind of journey.
Yes.
And she called me and she said, "Oh, we have to do something about it. There's just," and I said, "Let's do it." And
oh my God, what a story!
Yeah, thank you. It's Eve and her husband, they're really inspirations, and I'm fortunate to kind of be on this journey with her.
Yeah. I mean, what inspiring people to get dragged, right? To get dragged into something like, come on, we're going somewhere and you're coming along, and I like that we have to do something.
Yeah. I mean, it's, and to be honest, when we started this, my knowledge around ADHD was very limited. And I assume like many other people as well. I mean, you think it's something that only like small children are dealing with, especially boys, and it's mainly hyperactive. But then you start to understand how big this thing is, how it impacts adults' life, how the different types of ADHD. So really understood how big the problem is and how big the opportunity is to come up with a solution and access to this type of care.
I'd be curious how many people in America are currently prescribed Ritalin or some other ADHD medication. Must be tens of millions.
It's tens of millions of people, and there's also like a national shortage in medication right now, which is also like a complete other topic that we can discuss. But we've seen an amazing demand for the type of care that we provide, and it's just amazing to see that people understand the value of behavioral therapy for ADHD.
I saw that in the app where you have the CBT as part of one of the modules or features of the app, and I wasn't aware that was a tech you could use that in the ADHD model. To stop whatever behavior or to change or to point the behavior in a different direction.
Exactly, because obviously CBT is a great method for different types of kind of conditions, and in general like an amazing type of therapy. But when you apply it specifically for ADHD and you start to understand how your brain works differently, how it impacts your thoughts or your emotions, and then how you can navigate the actions. In that cycle of learning, it can really change your life, and you can really start to develop the tools and skills to manage your symptoms better, and just stop living in this chaos that you live in most of the day or most of your time. And we're fortunate to work with psychiatrists that and psychologists that specializes in CBT for ADHD.
Interesting. Tell me about the app. I mean, what kind of data are you seeing? You've been, you're still pretty new, and especially with a kind of a scientific approach, there must be a ton of data. What can you share so far that you're seeing as people use the app and progress along?
Sure. So first of all, to understand what we're giving today to every member that comes to our platform, we're giving them an access to 3 core care modalities. The first one is CBT. We just talked about it. So basically, it's self-served programs that they can learn about how their brain works and how what type of tools they can
Mm-hmm.
develop to manage the symptoms. So that's kind of one piece. The second piece is we match them with an ADHD coach that they can meet every week and obviously chat in between those sessions. And this is where the kind of human connection happens. You're talking to a coach that most of the time have ADHD themselves, and
yeah,
that,
probably.
And that's a huge help, just again to finally talk to someone that gets it, that have gone through this maybe similar journey, and can help you build the tools and skills to kind of manage it. So that's kind of the second piece. And the third piece is the community. So we match members with one another. We're having events and webinars and Q&As and all that stuff. And that sense of community is so important for so many people with ADHD, because you understand that you're not alone in this journey.
Yes. Yeah.
So those are kind of the three big things we offer to our members, and it's been amazing to see the impact we have on their lives. It's obviously we're measuring and with them kind of how they're managing symptoms over time, and how it impacts also their depression sometimes and anxiety symptoms as well. And we've seen amazing results, and couldn't be more proud of their journey and what we offer them.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see as you get more placements in the office. I think the companies, the work with corporate, it's going to be really, that's going to be the real powerful place you see, because you'll see change within a team. You'll see, perhaps if they're a team of 10 or 15 people, if you impact 2 people in that team, it'd be massive.
100%. And this is exactly the journey we're doing with Agave. So we launched our product basically direct to consumer, and people can just download the app, pay for it out of pocket, and enjoy what we provide. But we're now on that journey where we're starting to work with employers and to make our program accessible to all of their employees. And the interesting stuff that we're hearing from them is they, and that's very kind of, I'm very happy to hear it. They're saying that they understand the connection of helping their employees, their neurodivergent employees, and how it ties to their productivity, to their mental health, to their impact on the entire kind of community in the workplace.
Yes.
So seeing that they, those, HR benefit managers, seeing that they understand it, that's a huge step forward. And we're very happy to hear it. So we're excited with that journey as well.
Yeah, I think if you get the right HR people in a conversation with the right teams, you could do some really interesting stuff. Especially, I come down, a few individuals scattered throughout the organization, which are a little chaotic and struggling with ADHD. It could have, and sometimes they're managers, right? They end up as bosses. We end up, we end up as bosses. and that's a bit chaotic.
But the flip side is when you help them unlock their unique traits, unique potential, unique way of thinking about stuff, and this is where you really can create an even bigger impact, because you help them become who they are and kind of take it to the advantage of the company. So it's really that's amazing to see. And
yeah, I can see that. You're operating at really 80%, but your potential is 120. Once you unlock and once you're able to kind of hone your kind of skill set, your special skill set. Yeah, interesting, right? Super fun to watch. I mean, you're on that journey, right? Really in the beginning of the journey. What are you thinking about now? I mean, is it all execution now, or have you seen something else? Is there another spark going on? What's next?
So as entrepreneurs, you always you're dealing with it now, but you're always thinking
Yeah. That's why I'm asking the question, because I'm sure you're already somewhere else.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a lot of time the challenge is, as as a founder, as an entrepreneur, like how do you where do you focus your time? Are you focusing your time on now and executing and running the team, etc., but also kind of on the vision and where you could create the biggest impact. So for us, it's probably a combination of both. Like we're dealing a lot with just execution now, You know, we have a solid offering, and
Yeah,
the engagement and everything we're seeing on the app is pretty crazy. So just
looks good.
doubling down on that in terms of execution. But then on the other hand, as we kind of look a bit ahead, you know, this is where the employers, but also working with payers and making what we offer accessible through your insurance. That's also something that is on our pipeline. Because again, our mission and our goal is to make this type of care accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
And
right. How do you get it everywhere?
Exactly. And we believe that working with employers, working with health plans that can reimburse their members for our services and our care, this is really good.
Yeah, I always on this angle, I always kind of share my thoughts on the cost. You know, the cost of ADHD, of being untreated, and ultimately how that presents itself medically long term as a medical outcome. And
direct, indirect costs.
Yeah, direct, indirect stuff you can, but for a large health plan, the impact is real. And if they can affect change with, it's putting an app in someone's hands, and it won't take them, I would guess it would take them 18 months to get the data to show that, people using the app come to the emergency room less often. They're less sick. They don't call in sick as much. They don't have, et cetera, et cetera.
And it's both from the mental health side, but also from the physical health side. So from the mental health side, one of the most amazing stats that we came across was that 3 out of 4 adults in the US who are diagnosed with anxiety actually have ADHD as the root cause of the anxiety. So
sure.
They would go to the doctor or get, treatment for their anxiety, maybe even a medication, but that won't solve anything because you need to solve the core, cause, which is their undiagnosed or unmanaged ADHD, right? So that alone on the mental health side, that's interesting to learn and see, and obviously the comorbidity with adults with ADHD and depression, anxiety is over 70%.
Yeah.
So that's again huge correlation there. But also on the physical health side,
that's my point more.
On the physical health or
because you're going to talk to health companies, right? And this stuff untreated with no tools ultimately leads itself to heart attack, stroke, cancer, real depression
than your typical individuals. Twice more likely to have a physical health condition than your typical. So 100%. And so that's why we're again excited to have those conversations with them. It's a long journey, but we'll get there.
Yeah, for me, that's one of the most exciting places. It seems like it hasn't been peeled back. This connection between the two, right? We know it's there. It's obvious it's there. Talk about it, but it takes a united, you got to get a united health plan to stand up and say, hey, we've done the data. We realize we're spending, $30 billion a year treating medical conditions that are actually mental health. They start as mental health. They're untreated mental health, and they ultimately present as physical ailments. And we're gonna do a lot on the front end so we don't see it.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all it takes.
Making change in healthcare obviously takes time. But there's great positive signals out there. I mean, if you think about the awareness of just kind of mental health in general, in the past 5 years, obviously, completely changed. And we see the same thing happening with ADHD as well. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So that's also an issue that we can't not address. If you go to TikTok today, there's great content, but also there's a lot of dangerous content. So that's another issue that we will need to face, the misinformation.
Yeah, don't get your medical advice off TikTok, people.
Exactly.
I mean, it seems like silly advice, but as a general rule, probably try not, at least double check.
No, it's true. It's always consult with your physician, your PCP. So 100%.
Yeah, especially like I said, social media, right? Social TikTok is not really the place. Like you said, good content in there, but there's also some stuff that's just way, way, way off, way off base. Um, how how do you think what are the things we're not doing? What do you see as kind of the low hanging fruit right now for mental health overall?
I think one of the trends we're seeing is, like I mentioned, in the past few years, obviously a huge increase in awareness, in solutions,
Mm-hmm.
and making just
Yes.
mental health care more accessible. And that's obviously, amazing and so important. But I think what we're seeing now is the understanding that mental health is not just depression or anxiety or stress. There's actually a niche
Mm-hmm.
conditions underneath this kind of overlay
Yeah.
of health, that is requiring a specialty care,
Yeah.
and whether it's ADHD or OCD
Yes.
or eating disorders or many kind of, again, niche conditions that
Mm.
actually one of the symptoms that can be developed if it's not diagnosed or managed is depression or anxiety or stress and all that stuff. So we're happy to see that understanding in both with individuals, but also in kind of the healthcare system in general. But there's still a lot of work to be done there. But there's great specialized virtual clinics in all of those conditions that I mentioned, whether it's OCD, whether it's an eating disorder, whether it's substance abuse, of course, and we're excited with what we're doing on the ADHD front with that type of
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, I would imagine too. There's a lot of people, ADHD people. I would imagine self-medicating, and if you have some tools
Yeah.
and the symptoms, and you're kind of the symptoms are being kind of allowed to let a little of that pressure out. Boy, you probably don't need to self-medicate as much. You don't need to call in sick, et cetera, et cetera. I think the employer side for you, this is a question I wanted to ask was, do you think the retail side or the employer side, or is there a third kind of a model through medical, right? Getting the medical to actually add
Exactly.
it, I guess, is your third option. Which one do you think is going to be which is the game changer?
So I think the way we think about it is there's pros and cons for every
Mm-hmm.
approach, for every, we call it go to market, whether it's like I said, direct to patients or through employers or through health plans. There's pros and cons for each.
Yeah.
Our belief is if you do this, if you really want to create scale, you have to do it through employers and health plans. But with
Okay.
that said, you never have to lose sight of the end patient. So whether
Mm.
that patient is getting your service and your care from his employer or from his insurance company, at the end of the day, you have to always think about him because he's the one that needs your help,
Yeah.
uses your service, and so that's something that sometimes I see companies forget. Uh, you always have to start and end with a patient. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you choose to get there.
Yeah, that's a fascinating. I hadn't really thought of that part. That's a complicated part of that you're still responsible for the end patient.
Yeah, and it's the reason why it's so challenging is because, again, as a business with always limited resources, and you have to understand what you're
Yeah.
going to focus on. Are you building stuff that will help you get, or are you investing funds to help you get through another employer or another health plan? But then it means that you may be not investing those
Yeah.
funds on the experience and care of the end patient. So
Yeah, the right
there's
coaches and everything else. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not saying that dilemma doesn't exist, but I think, at least for us, we always remind ourselves that when we have that dilemma, we always have to start and end with the patient.
With the patient.
Yeah, yeah, and never compromise
Yeah,
our quality of care.
that is an interesting little conundrum, right? You could have, the CEO of United Health could be your client, but
Yeah,
really the ultimate customer is you've got to serve the customer.
one
That's a
100%.
challenge. Yeah, that's a bit of a challenge right there. That's an
It is.
interesting piece. How many people do you want to get on the program? I mean, by the end of this year, or do you have any targets you can share? What kind of numbers?
Yeah, so we have many hundreds of patients on our platform every day, and we're fortunate to really help them change their lives and give them again access to this type of care, where otherwise they would just wait months and spend many dollars to get. So we're very fortunate there, and our goals is just to again scale what we do, keep thinking about it all the time, and seeing how we can add or adapt or change what the type of care that we give. So yeah, I mean, our goals is just keep doing what we're doing and get it to as many people as we can.
Yeah, that's always the plan, right? So it's, and if people are interested to find the app, have a look, agavehealth.com.
Yeah, that's the best place to start. And and we have amazing kind of social media accounts as well. So we can check the content we put as well. And for me personally, if anyone wants to chat with me, send a message. It's just ori@agavehealth.com. And I always try to respond as fast as I can to my emails.
Yeah, I'm sure those are anytime you get a message, it's always every message is important.
But when it comes from individuals looking for for help or asking questions about what we do, that's always a top priority. So.
We're in that space, right? It's real. Ori, awesome conversation. I learned quite a bit today, and it's kind of I'm excited. There are so many good solutions out there and people banging away. And it's going to be fun to see. For me, it's the employer. I just love the employer as an entry point. That everybody wins on that outcome. It's vested all around. I think the United Healthcare's, it dumbfounds me that a CEO does not just stand up and shout around the executive table and say, why are we treating mental health crisis medical dollars? It should be spent. Somebody else should be spending that money, not me.
It's I agree with that thought.
It seems like I could be an executive and probably turn a company around tomorrow with some aggressive mental health, upfront mental health triage. Triage is saying we're triaging everything in the back end, which is just dumbfoundedly stupid.
Well, no, 100%. There's still, we can't avoid still the stigma that exists with mental health and individuals think twice before they want to share the diagnosis. That's obviously there, but like I mentioned, I think we're seeing progress in that aspect. And it's on us to make sure that everybody feels comfortable with sharing their diagnosis and that they need help, and then we can provide that help.
Yeah, more. I think the stigma is melting slowly, but it's melting, and I think having something like your app inside a company and a couple people chit chatting about it, everything becomes kind of normal. Yeah, everything becomes normal. All right, thanks so much, my friend. Stick around. I've got a little commercial, and then just say hi on the back end.
Of course.
Okay. Thanks to everybody for listening, supporting mental health today. Best thing you can do, whatever platform you're listening on, just drop down, write us a note, and find those little 3 buttons or the up button or whatever it is, and share this episode, especially if you know somebody with ADHD or an HR person inside some company that could use some help. Thanks again, Ori. See you in 30 seconds, everybody.
Yeah, loose, baby.
But we're about to go and make this vessel with these great professionals at Public Glass. We're not part of the community, but we're from the outer family of glass blowing. Yeah, we're going to go make a magical giant jar with optic lenses so that if you turn it, it changes all the time. So if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.